Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat. We are going through Mukhtasar al-Qudoori, which is a Hanafi text. We have covered almost half of the book. If you guys are interested in the series, make sure you watch from the beginning, inshallah. All right, so let's carry on with this. So first of all, we go through the meanings of the words which we haven't covered so far. So al-wakilu, wakil, by the way, hit the like, subscribe button, share my videos. You know the drill. Wal-wakilu, wakil is an agent. Bay is trade, kathir is a lot. Nuqsan is deficiency or loss. La yataghaban is to be ripped off or extortion. Yeah, so to be ripped off. والوكيل شراء عقده, عقد means contract, زيادة excess, extra. In a lot of these words, taqweem is valuation. Yeah, the valuation. And muqawwimin, the valuers, the ones who value. Right, so the ism fa'il. Mubta'. Mubta'. So either ضمن الوكيل buyer. Okay, فالضمان, ضمان means the compensation. Yeah, so to compensate. Batil. Okay, وإذا وكل نصفه, nisf means half. A lot of these words we've done before anyway. So mawquf means pending, paused. Shara baqi, remainder. Ashara is 10. Ritlan is a type of measure, right? Like liters, milliliters. Laham is meat. Lazima becomes lazim. Wakil, the person who made someone an agent. Alright, so these are words, and a lot of these words we've covered before, so I don't need to go through them. Let's look at tarkeeb now. Tarkeeb is something you guys are into as well. Al-wakilu, so wakil is mubtada. Bil-bay'i, jar majroor, yajuzu bay'uhu is fi'l fa'il. Bil-qalili wal-kathiri, that's the jar majroor. Inda Abi Hanifata, qala Abu Yusuf wa Muhammadun. Okay, so that's ataf onto Abu. La yajuzu bay'uhu is fi'l fa'il bi-nuqsanin. يتغابن. So تغابن يتغابن تغابنا from the word غبن from باب تفاعل. الناس في الفاعل في مثله. والوكيل مبتدأ بالشراء يجوز عقده بمثل قيمة وزيادة. يتغابن الناس في الفاعل في مثلها ولا يجوز بما لا يتغابن الناس في الفاعل في مثله. والذي لا يتغابن الناس في الفاعل فيه ما لا يدخل يدخل تحت تقويم المقومين. This is مضاف مضاف إليه. وإذا ضمن الوكيل بالبيع الثمن عن المبتاع فضمانه مبتدأ باطل is خبر. وإذا وكله ببيع عبده فباع نصفه جاز عند أبي حنيفة. وإن وكله بشراء عبد فاشترى نصفه فالشراء مبتدأ موقوف. وإن اشترى باقيه so باقيه لازمه الموكل في الفاعل. وإذا وكله بشراء 10 أرطال لحم مضاف مضاف إليه بدرهم فاشترى 20. This is the مفعول به. رتلا is the تمييز. بدرهم من لحم يباع مجهول مثله is the نائب فاعل. يباع مثله 10 درهم بدرهم. لزم الموكل منه actually this should be لزم الموكلة. Let's make it لزم موكلة منه 10 أرطال. Yeah, that makes more sense actually. لزم okay, so over here as well لزم الموكلة بنصف درهم عند أبي حنيفة. وقال أبو يوسف ومحمد يلزمه العشرون. All right. Let me know in the comments what you think about this as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the meaning of this thing. What is this all about? What do we discuss over here? What's happening? All right, so let's make it a bit bigger so you guys can see the writing better. So imagine there is a muwakkil, and this muwakkil sends out a wakil. So he's got two wakils. All right, so he's got a wakil who is sent out to sell. All right, so this is one of the wakils, and this wakil, he's told to sell things. All right, so let's say for example, the muwakkil has, I don't know, cars. All right, so these are cars, and he's told to sell the cars. So now he's gone, and he's gonna sold the cars to another person. At what rate can he sell the cars? Can he sell it for anything? So Imam Abu Hanifa, he says he can sell it for any amount. Right, so whether it's a small amount, large amount, totally fine. He can sell it for any amount. However, Imam Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, they say no. They say it has to be according to, it has to be such that the person is not being ripped off. Okay, so if the muwakkil is being ripped off here, because the idea is that the seller might potentially be cheating the muwakkil. He might be selling the car to his friend, let's say, very, very cheap. The car is, let's say it's worth £10,000, and he's going and selling it for, I don't know, £6,000, right, to his friend. And so the idea is they're saying there is a very good chance that he could be ripping off. So therefore they say he can only sell it at a rate where the margin of difference would be very, very small, right? So let's say, for example, 10,000. How much, if you went on one of those websites that that would compare the market websites, how much roughly would maximum this car sell for? So let's say you went the compare website, and they said, okay, the car is worth 10k, but some people are selling it for 12k, and the minimum some people are selling it for is, let's say, 8k, right? So this margin of difference, right? So 2k above, 2k below, this is what you call ما يتغابن الناس فيه. This is the amount that people normally are يتغابن, get ripped off in, right? This is the rate. I don't know what word to use. What's the best word to use, guys? Let me know in the comments. So that difference between 10 and 8 and 10 and 12, that's the rough amount that people normally will pay more or pay less for. That's what it means that normally in the markets people will pay above and below that amount. Now obviously all the way down to 6k, that is something which is too low days, right? People normally don't pay that much for such a car. It's normally higher. So Abu Yusuf and Muhammad are saying, well, if he's paying that low and it is below the normal threshold of that particular car, then no, it won't be allowed. Abu Hanifa says any amount you can sell it for. Make sense? So let's have a look. So wal wakilu bil bay'i, so the wakil who is appointed to sell something, yajuzu bay'uhu, he's allowed to sell the item bil qalili wal kathiri, in exchange for a small amount or a large amount. Inda Abi Hanifa rahimahullah. وقال أبو يوسف ومحمد. Imam Abu Yusuf and Muhammad say, no. لا يجوز بيع. It's not allowed to be sold for any نقصان. And نقصان means any deficient or low value. لا يتغابن, in which people normally do not get ripped off in في مثله, in similar to it. Yeah, so that's the seller that is. So the wakil that's been appointed to sell, he can't do that, they're saying. He can't sell it for that low amount. But Abu Hanifa says yes, it's fine. Make sense? Right, next. Now, what about let's say he has another wakil, and this wakil has been appointed to buy things. So this guy is the buyer. Right, how does it work with the buyer? How much can he buy things for the muwakkil? So again, let's say, for example, he's gone to buy a house, and let's say this house costs, I don't know, 50k, right? In the markets, it costs 50k. So how much above is he allowed to pay for it? And how much below? So let's say above, he can pay up to 55k. And below, he can go all the way down to, I don't know, 45k. Right? So that's the margin of difference over here. Right? So you can pay up to 55k for it. In the comparethemarket.com would say this house is selling for 55k and the lowest you can find is for 45k. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Does everyone understand what I'm saying when I say in the market.com? Yeah, makes sense? All right, so now he says, وَالْوَكِيلُ, as for the wakil for buying, right? So this guy over here, يَجُوزُ عَقْدُهُ, he's allowed to do a contract بِمِثْلِ الْقِيمَةِ, with 50, similar, وَزِيَادَةٍ, and he's allowed to pay extra, يَتَغَابَنْ النَّاسُ فِي مِثْلِهَا, in which normally people would get ripped off. I don't like the word being ripped off. There's another word that doesn't come to my mind, but if you guys know, please help me out here. So يَتَغَابَنَ النَّاسُ, right? So the market.com says that up to 55k is something people are willing to pay for this house. Yeah. وَلَا يَجُوزُ, however, it's not allowed بِمَا لَا يَتَغَابَنَ النَّاسُ فِي مِثْلِهِ. So for example, let's say the guy, he says, well, I bought the house for 70k. 70k is something people do not pay for this house. That's just too high, that is too extortionate. So therefore, in that case, he says, وَالَّذِي لَا يَتَغَابَنَ النَّاسُ فِيهِ, that amount in which people do not normally pay, is not allowed. Sorry, this masala is not to do with that. Okay, this is a separate masala. But I'm just explaining to you guys, if it's too much, then that will not be accepted. So what's going to happen if the person does pay that much? So then that extra amount will be from their pocket. That will be counted from their pocket. Right? It's as though they bought it for themselves. Okay, new masla now. This is a new masla, right? Today I don't know what's happened to me, guys, today. Today I'm all over the show. Maybe because the weather's cold outside. Is it cold where you guys are? Are you guys enjoying the weather? All right, so what does it mean that the amount is that in which people do not get ripped off in? Right? So let's say, for example, there is a rate of 10k, for example, we said. The highest people are willing to pay for this item, let's say, is 12k, and the lowest people are willing to pay for this is 8k, right? So this is what is known as taqweem al-muqawwimin, right? So taqweem. So there are people in the society who are the valuators. They kind of know the values of things in society. Just like nowadays, you go on websites, they will tell you the values. In today's times, you'll call it comparethemarket.com. So these comparison websites are the muqawwimin. So you check on there, roughly this house or this car or this mobile phone, how much would it roughly cost? They'll give you a maximum figure and they'll give you a minimum figure. Anywhere in between there, you're allowed to buy it and sell it, right? No problem. So he's saying that the مَا يَتَغَابَنَ النَّاسِ وَالَّذِي, that amount in which people are normally ripped off in, is مَا لَا يَدْخُلْ, is that which does not enter into the taqweem al-muqawwimin, into the valuation of the valuators, right? So in other words, the valuators, they don't really consider this as being a problem. So it doesn't enter their value, right? This is like a small amount that people don't really mind. Sometimes you go to a shop and you might buy a water bottle, and in one shop it might cost, 40 pence. And one shop might cost 60 pence, 70 pence, right? So depending on where you are, maybe in the airports it costs more, that's how it is. So he's saying that's how you work out what it means that the value is more than you're supposed to pay for it. All right, next masla now. So the next one is, let's say for instance, there is a muwakkil. All right, so we can call this guy the muwakkil. And he has appointed a wakil to sell something. Right? So this guy has been appointed to sell the car. Now what this wakil has done is the wakil has spoken to someone about this car. Right? So this is the buyer. And the wakil has said to the buyer that he said that, look, if the buyer does not pay for it, I'll pay for it from my own pocket. Right? If the buyer does not pay, I will pay from my own pocket. My own pocket. Right? This is called the daman. He's guaranteeing that if he doesn't pay, I'll pay for it. It's like almost like a kind of guaranteeing a kafala. So he says this is not allowed. Either dhamina al-wakilu, if the wakil bil-bay, who has been appointed to sell, he guarantees the price and on behalf of the mubta', right? That if he doesn't pay, I'll pay for it. Damanuhu, this daman will not be counted. This type of daman will not be considered to be counted, because then how does the trade work then? in this case? How does the trade work? How has he's supposed to sell it and make money for the muwakkil from another party, but he's end up giving it from his own pocket, right? So that is not considered to be permissible. All right, that's the next one now. So we'll go to the next one. All right, let's do it over here. So إذا وكله ببيع عبده. So now again, the muwakkil, this is the muwakkil, he has appointed the wakil to sell his slave, right? So he's the seller and he's got a slave and he said, sell this slave of mine, right? So now what's happened is he's gone and sold half of it. So let's say the slave was for £1,000. He has gone and sold the slave, half of the slave. Yes, half of it he sold. He hasn't sold all of it. Will this contract go through or not? So he says yes. He says in إذا وكله ببيع عبده, if he has been appointed to sell his slave, فباع نصفه, and then he's gone and sold only half of it. According to Abu Hanifa, the contract will go through. According to Sahibain, it will not go through, because the deal was that you have to sell all of it, not half of it. Right? Abu Hanifa says selling half of it is part of selling it, because then later on maybe he can find a buyer for the other half. Now, if however he was to appoint someone to buy, right? So he appointed a wakil, a buyer wakil, to buy for him a slave. And in this case, he went and he bought half a slave. So he's gone and he's purchased half a slave. Right? So he's gone and got half the slave. He's bought half of it. So in this case, the contract will be pending. It won't go through until the other half has also been bought as well. Because the term that he used was, buy me a slave. Buy me a slave. So when you say buy me a slave, that means a whole slave. So that's the difference between selling and between buying. So وَإِنْ وَكَّلَهُ بِشِرَاءِ, and if he has appointed him to purchase a slave, فَاشْتَرَى نِصْفَهُ, and he goes and buys half of it, فَالشِّرَاءُ مَوْقُوفٌ, the buying will be pending. فَإِنْ اشْتَرَى بَاقِيَهُ, if he buys the rest of it, then لَزِمَ الْمُوَكِّلَ, this will become lazim upon the muwakkil to pay the money in full. Right? So that's the difference between selling a slave and between buying. Abu Hanifa says the selling can be done in bits, installments, parts, whereas the buying has to be done all for it to be considered legally a buying. Okay, now last masala. This is a bit of a long masala, so let's try to understand this masala as best as we can. Right, so what's happened over here is this. So this is the muwakkil. Okay, pen size changed. This is the muwakkil. And this is the wakil. And the muwakkil has said to the wakil, I'm going to give you 10, let's say, I'm going to give you £10, right? So I'm explaining it in terms that we can understand. I'm going to give you, so let's say £1. I'm going to give you £1, and with this £1, I want you to buy for me 10 kg of meat. For £1, I want you to buy me 10 kg of meat. $1, buy me 10 kg of meat. So this obviously the wakil is a buyer wakil, so he's buying something. Now he's gone to the market. If he was to go and buy, so this is scenario number one. If he was to go and buy 10 kg for £1, $1, this would be fine, right? That's what was agreed upon initially. However, if he's gone, scenario number two, like what's mentioned over here, and he's actually bought 20 kg, he's got a good offer for £1. What does the muwakkil have to pay? Right, so the question is, does the muwakkil have to pay for all 20, right? Or does he only pay for 10? So remember, 10 kg is equal to, in that case, if it's half, then it will be equal to half a pound, which is 50 pence. Yeah, half a dollar. So 50 pence for 10 kg, or does he have to pay the full £1? So do we look at the money over here, the pound, or do we look at the amount that he was told? Does that make sense? Right, so he says, إِذَا وَكَّلَهُ, if he has been appointed to buy عَشَرَةَ أَرْطَالٍ لَحْم, 10 weight or 10 measure of meat, بِدِرْهَمٍ in exchange for a dirham. Right, so that was the deal. فَاشْتَرَى إِشْرِينَ رِتْلًا, and he ended up buying إِشْرِينَ رِتْلًا, 20. So you got a good deal for 20. بِدِرْهَم, for a dirham of meat. يُبَاعُ, such that you normally would sell similar to it for 10 dirham. Meaning he bought إِشْرِينَ رِتْلًا بِدِرْهَم لَحْمٍ, such meat. يُبَاعُ مِثْلُهُ, normally that amount would be bought for £1. So he's got a good deal basically. He's bought 20 kilos, and that 20 kilos normally you'd pay, £1 for 10. Right, that's how good offer he's got. So he says, لَزِمَ الْمُوَكِّلْ مِنْهُ 10 أرطال بنصف درهم عند أبي حنيفة. Abu Hanifa takes this one. He only has to give him 50 pence, half of a dirham, because that was the deal. The deal was 10 kg, right, 10 artal, and therefore whatever 10 artal is equal to, he pays that, and the rest of it goes into the pocket of the buyer. He has to pay for it. Whereas قال Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, they say no. They say يلزمه 20. He's got to pay for the 20, because you don't look at the amount, you look at the price. So Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is looking at the kg, and they are looking at the price over here. And that's it, guys. Those are the mas'alas for today. Last lesson, inshallah. Next lesson on wakala. That's the last on the chapter of wakala. Then we move on to the next chapter, inshallah. Right, let's see if you guys have understood this well enough. You guys ready? All right. So first question. How much is a wakil who can sell something, how much is he allowed to sell it for? According to Abu Hanifa and according to Sahibin. Answer. Abu Hanifa says you can sell it for any amount, and the Sahibain say no, you can only sell it for the amount in which you normally don't get ripped off in. Okay, what about buying? How much can a wakil buy something for? So this is where everyone agrees that he can only buy it for the amount upon which he can only buy it for the amount in which people do not get ripped off in. Right, so if it's 50k normal price, he can only pay up to 55, no more than that. Okay, what is considered to be something in which people normally get ripped off in, right, which they don't really mind? We say that is considered to be the measure that normally the market, people of the market would consider to be the amount, right? So like we said on the comparison websites, whatever they normally consider the maximum and the minimum, anything in between that is considered to be what people normally get ripped off in. Okay, if the muwakkil, who has been appointed to sell something, decides that if the buyer is not going to pay, he'll pay himself, he'll guarantee the money. That guaranteeing is not allowed. Right? He's not allowed to guarantee something. Okay, next question. What if a muwakkil appoints a seller to sell a slave, and he goes and sells half of it? Would that selling half would be counted? Abu Hanifa says yes, it'll be counted. Sahibain say no, he has to sell the whole slave. What if a muwakkil has appointed a buyer to buy something? What would happen there? So it would not be considered to be a full buying until he has bought the entire slave. Half of a slave is not enough. Okay, what if a muwakkil appoints a buyer, a wakil, to buy him 10 kilos of meat for £1 or $1, and he goes and he ends up getting an offer where he pays £1 and he gets 20 kg? What would happen in that case? Abu Hanifa says he only has to pay for half of it, because he only made a deal with 10 kg. And the Sahibain say no, he has to pay for the whole thing. Khalas. I hope you guys understand that. I hope it makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, inshallah. I love reading your questions. And subscribe, hit the like button, share my videos please with others on your social media and on your WhatsApp and all that. And if you guys want to support my channel, be like my wonderful, beautiful patrons who support my channel. They also get perks as well, special videos I don't put up on my YouTube channel. So you can check those out as well, on tafsir and other topics as well I put up. So you can check all those out. And details in the description below, or you can contact me as well. Emails there as well. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.